Annyeong Buzz. Welcome back to the channel, where we dive into the hottest conversations in K-pop and Korean entertainment. Today, we're tackling a really interesting question that's been circulating online. Are HYBE's global girl group KATSEYE and Nugus in the K-pop industry? This all started because of a viral clip featuring some legendary idols, SHINee's Key, BTOB's Changsub, and Girls' Generation's Hyoyeon, who had a rather funny but telling conversation about KATSEYE. And trust me, it sparked a firestorm of reactions online. So here's what happened. In this clip, Key brings up KATSEYE in conversation. Now remember, this is SHINee's Key, someone who has always had a pulse on the industry, someone who knows what's going on. But when he mentioned KATSEYE, Changsub immediately asked, "What's KATSEYE? Is it your song? Is it Hyoyeon's song?" And Hyoyeon also looked confused, saying she had no idea either. It wasn't until Key explained that they're HYBE's global girl group that Hyoyeon went, "Oh, I know." But even then, she admitted she should have known, but was just a little slow to catch on. Now, let's pause there for a second. This might sound like just a funny exchange between idols, but fans immediately started asking, what does this actually say about KATSEYE's recognition in Korea? Because let's be real, if idols who are veterans in the industry don't even know who you are, does that mean your group is struggling for relevancy in the K-pop scene? Or does it just show the gap between KATSEYE's global fame and their domestic awareness? And this is where the debate really kicks off. KATSEYE is not just some rookie group. They've been around for over a year. And 2025 has been their best year yet. Their song Gnarly went viral, they've had multiple back-to-back hits, and their global fan base is growing rapidly. Honestly, their international numbers are nothing to scoff at. Yet here we are, with senior idols not recognizing their name right away. I think this brings up a bigger point about the way K-pop works nowadays. Traditionally, the industry puts so much weight on recognition within Korea. If Korean netizens knew you, if idols mentioned you, if you were part of variety shows, then you had made it. But in 2025, the landscape is shifting. Global recognition can sometimes be even more powerful than local recognition. Groups like KATSEYE are living proof of that. They're not dominating domestic conversations the way some other groups do, but internationally, they're killing it. But at the same time, we can't deny that there's still a bit of a sting when idols like Hyoyeon and Changsub don't immediately know who KATSEYE are. And fans noticed that too. Some netizens said it highlighted the fact that KATSEYE, despite being a HYBE girl group, still haven't really cemented their place in the Korean industry. Others defended them, saying it's not unusual for idols to be out of touch with newer groups, especially when there are so many debuts every year. So let me ask you guys, do you think being recognized by senior idols is actually a marker of success anymore? Or is that an outdated standard in today's globalized K-pop world? I genuinely want to hear your thoughts on this because I think it's such a fascinating conversation. For me personally, I think the clip says less about KATSEYE's success and more about how massive and fragmented the K-pop scene has become. Back in the second or third generation of K-pop, it felt like everyone kind of knew everyone. But now, with so many groups, so many global projects, and so many niche fan bases, it's impossible for even industry insiders to keep up with every single act. Hyoyeon admitting that she should know but doesn't kind of sums it up perfectly. It's not that KATSEYE isn't doing well, it's that the scene is too big for everyone to keep track. And here's something else to think about. KATSEYE isn't positioned like a traditional K-pop group. They're marketed as a global group from the start. Their identity is tied to international recognition, not necessarily dominating the Korean market. In that sense, maybe the fact that veteran idols aren't super familiar with them isn't as damaging as it might look on the surface. Because while Hyoyeon might not know them, millions of fans across the US, Europe, and Southeast Asia definitely do. But then again, the word Nugu is very loaded in K-pop. It's often used to discredit groups or imply they're irrelevant. And I think that's why this clip caused such an uproar, because it seemed to validate the idea that even though KATSEYE is successful globally, in Korea, they might still be considered Nugus. And that hits differently when it's coming from senior idols, not just random commenters online. What do you think? Does KATSEYE still have to prove themselves in Korea to truly be considered big? Or can global success alone define their status? Let's continue this conversation because there's another layer to this that I think makes it even more interesting. KATSEYE's rise to fame has been very unconventional compared to traditional K-pop groups. They didn't come up through the same system of years of underground recognition in Korea, building slowly through music shows, radio appearances, and endless variety show gigs. Instead, they were formed under HYBE as a global girl group, with members coming from diverse backgrounds and appealing directly to an international audience. Their music reflects that. Shorter songs that are TikTok-friendly, lyrics that mix English heavily with Korean, and concepts that feel more global pop than classic K-pop. So when Key joked about their songs being really short, he wasn't wrong. And honestly, that's part of their identity. The group knows how to go viral. Gnarly wasn't a traditional K-pop comeback, it was a social media phenomenon. Clips from the music video, dance challenges, and even memes spread everywhere. That's the kind of strategy that works perfectly in 2025, when attention spans are shorter and global audiences consume music differently. But here's the tension. Does being global mean you can afford to be less recognized domestically? Or does K-pop still require domestic validation to count as a true success story? Think about it. Groups like BTS, Blackpink, and Twice didn't just blow up globally. They first cemented themselves in Korea, and that domestic foundation made their international growth more stable. KATSEYE, on the other hand, almost flipped that formula. Now, some people see this as a weakness. They argue that without Korean industry recognition, meaning idols knowing your name, Korean audiences buying your albums, and domestic broadcasts featuring you, you're always going to have that Nugu label hanging over your head. Others, however, see it as the future. They say KATSEYE is breaking the mold and proving that a group can be global first, domestic second. And honestly, I think both perspectives are valid. Yes, domestic recognition is still powerful in K-pop, but let's not forget, we're living in a time where Billboard charts, TikTok virality, and Spotify streams can carry as much weight as Korean music shows. If KATSEYE continues to dominate internationally, maybe the Korean industry will eventually catch up and start acknowledging them more. Here's something I want to ask you guys directly. If you're a KATSEYE fan, does it bother you that senior idols didn't recognize them? Or do you think it doesn't matter as long as the group keeps thriving worldwide? I really want to hear your perspective, because this is one of those moments where fans' opinions will shape how we interpret the clip. And let's talk about the reactions online. A lot of fans actually found the clip funny, rather than offensive. Seeing Changsub and Hyoyeon genuinely confused and Key trying to explain, it was kind of entertaining in its own right. But it also sparked debates that cut deeper. Some netizens started making jokes about how, if even SNSD Hyoyeon doesn't know you, are you really famous? While others clapped back with, well, Hyoyeon probably doesn't know half of the newer groups either, because she's not actively keeping up. For me, I think this moment highlights how generational divides in K-pop are becoming more noticeable. Senior idols aren't always tuned into the newest trends, just like newer idols might not be aware of certain second-gen acts unless they were iconic. It doesn't mean a group isn't successful, it just shows how big and fast-moving the industry has become. So to wrap this up, let's answer the big question. Are KATSEYE Nugus in K-pop? My take is no, not in the traditional sense. They're clearly successful, clearly growing, and clearly have a fan base that's passionate and international. But the conversation does reveal that they still have work to do in establishing themselves within Korea. Recognition from senior idols and domestic audiences might not be everything in 2025, but it still carries a certain weight, especially when it comes to long-term legacy. At the end of the day, KATSEYE is still young as a group. They've only been around a year. If they keep building on the momentum they've had this year with Gnarly and other hits, I don't think people will be questioning their place much longer. Success has many forms, and KATSEYE is redefining what it looks like for the new generation of K-pop. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think KATSEYE needs to be more recognized in Korea to be considered truly successful? Or do you believe their international impact is enough to erase the Nugu label altogether? Let me know in the comments, because this is a debate I know will have a lot of strong opinions on both sides. That's it for today's Anyang Buzz. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more K-pop and K-drama discussions, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the next one.